My friends, welcome to our fall meeting of the Democratic National Committee. I hereby call this meeting to order. Please stand if you are able for the presentation of colors by the members of the Air Force Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps from University City High School in St. Louis. I'd like to also ask all of our veterans who are able to join us here at the front of the stage. So if you are a veteran and you're able, please join us in the front of the stage. My friends, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the retiring of the colors.
Order! Arms! Right, face, forward, march, left, right, left, right,
Once again, please join me in thanking our veterans and their families for the sacrifices they have made. Members, our invocation will be led by the Reverend Dr. Anthony Witherspoon, the pastor of the Washington Metropolitan AME Zion Church here in St. Louis. In his over 40 years of ministry, he has served churches in Maine, North Carolina, Virginia, and Missouri. As a professor at numerous colleges and universities across the country, Dr. Witherspoon has taught African American religious studies, criminal justice, sociology, and ethics. Please welcome our friend, Dr. Witherspoon.
Shall we pray? In 1930, Harry Emerson Fosdick wrote the hymn, God of Grace and God of Glory, for the dedication of the famous Riverside Church in New York City. In the hymn were words that both rang true then as well as now, requesting divine intervention, guidance, and clarity for providing the wisdom needed for assisting community and world leaders with the knowledge and wherewithal for dealing with humanity. Fosdick wrote, and I paraphrase, as we seek to do that which is just, right, and equitable for all, God, grant us wisdom, grant us courage for the facing of this hour, for the facing of this hour. Needless to say, wisdom and courage are still necessary hallmarks for our present times. Hallmarks, mind you, when used justly, strengthen a nation for her good. Courage and wisdom are most needed in this present age to assist leaders who have been chosen to do the work of our nation. Courage and wisdom are still needed to assist leaders chosen to speak truth to power, to assist with exercising all justice in every situation, and to provide leaders with a moral and spiritual clarity to govern beyond the semantics of political agendas. The Almighty has chosen to safely bring to St. Louis several of the greatest minds from across the nation, great minds from across the deepest valleys, from across the highest plains, a vast representation only the God of the universe has the power and authority to manifest. Such a gathering and vast representation is monumental and timely as the nation seeks and is in need of leaders like you who have been granted the power to confront difficult challenges, which ultimately will improve communities everywhere. This should not and cannot be taken lightly, for a great part of the governance of this country is in your hands. And although your thoughts may differ on many things, although your ideas may not be completely the same, your collective, collaborative ideas and ideals serve as a reminder and are centered around that which we honor and lift up, to include standing up for workers' rights, to protecting the environment, equal pay to fighting the special interests, continuing to believe that we can and should make life better for families across our nation by striving for fairness, justice, and equality for all, by standing up for all middle-class Americans and those struggling to get there. As delegates, you have been called to serve for such a time as this, to help bring our ideals to fruition. Your sacrificial hard work and contributions thus far have been tremendous, no doubt, providing the impetus for next steps. Yet, regardless of intellect, tremendous talents and abilities, none of this is made possible without the intervention of the Almighty. All we possess has been afforded to us by an even greater power. Therefore, we pause this morning, not only to give reverence to, but to ask for the presence and guidance from the giver, sustainer, and creator of all things. We ask for the Almighty to order our steps for the greater good of all who are assembled here, as well as for all we serve. And moreover, we ask for the Almighty to grant us with the strength, courage, and wisdom to perform in us today that which is necessary for providing an even greater future for those yet born who will follow our footsteps. Grant us wisdom, grant us courage for the facing of this hour, for the facing of this hour. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Witherspoon, for those remarks. My friends, as we begin our day, I want to start by stating that the Democratic Party is unequivocally condemning the horrific attacks by terrorists against Israeli civilians. Our party stands firmly with the Israeli people, and we extend our condolences for all the lives lost in these very vicious attacks. I now want to introduce DNC Secretary Jason Ray. I'm sure you will all agree that Secretary Ray and his team do such an excellent job of keeping our membership informed about the work of the National Committee and all of our meetings. Please join me in thanking Jason and his team for all that they do to make this meeting a tremendous success. Secretary Ray, the floor is yours.
Thank you, my friend. Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, Democrats. It is so great to see you. Welcome to St. Louis. I want to start by just thanking the Missouri Democratic Party, led by Chair Carnahan, for their incredible hospitality these last few days. Let's give it up for the Missouri Democratic Party. I wanted to start off by just providing everyone with a couple of statistics related to the fall meeting. We have had a total of 27 official meetings, 87 volunteers, 223 volunteer shifts, with almost 600 attendees joining us over the last several days. As many of you know, this is also our last DNC meeting for this cycle, but I can't wait until our next national convention held in Chicago in 2024 when we gather together again. But with that, Mr. Chair, Democrats have traveled from across the globe to be here, and we do indeed have a quorum of members present.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. And now to introduce our next guest, I want to recognize my good friend, DNC Vice Chair, ASDC President, and Minnesota DFL Party Chair, Ken Martin.
Before I begin, I just want to mention that I was shocked, like many of you, to wake up this morning to the news out of Israel. The unprovoked attack on Israel is unacceptable, and all of us loudly in this party need to condemn the assault on our friend and ally. My prayers are with friends and family in Israel this morning, and we will always keep them in our thoughts during this time, and of course, continue to lift up their struggle. Thank you for that. Now, it is my honor, Mr. Chair, to introduce the Mayor of St. Louis, Mayor Tashara Jones. Mayor Jones started her career in politics as a public servant, I should say, in 2002 when she was appointed as Democratic Committee Woman of the 8th Ward in the city of St. Louis. A history maker on a mission. She served 2 terms in the Missouri House of Representatives and was selected as the first African-American woman in Missouri history to hold the position of Assistant Minority Floor Leader. She was also the first African-American woman to serve as Treasurer of St. Louis. And if you get the pattern here, because she's a history maker, Mayor Jones was sworn in as the 47th mayor and the first black female mayor in the city's history on April 20th of 2021. She's doing amazing things already, as you could tell, in this city. Please welcome the Mayor of St. Louis, Mayor Tashara Jones.
Good morning. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, and hello again to those of you who have been able to see and meet over the past few days. I hope you've been enjoying St. Louis and you've had a chance to get out of the hotel a bit to check out what we have to offer. Your presence has made a huge economic impact on my city, and for that I am very grateful. When I think about how St. Louis has changed over the years, I think about my maternal grandparents, Eddie and Daisy Whitfield. Now, to be clear, I never knew them. They were both gone before I was even a twinkle in my mother's eye. But I think of them often and how they worked hard to lay the foundation for future generations of my family. Like many black families from the South, they escaped the Jim Crow South and moved to St. Louis, looking for a better life. Eddie was a butcher, and Daisy was a homemaker. She stayed home with their 13 children, of which my mother was the baby. In the mid-1950s, they moved from a small row house to a big 3-story home that became the center of my family's universe, which we affectionately called the Big House. And I remember seeing a photo of my mother as a little girl with the white family that used to live next door. Back then, most of their neighbors were white. Then one by one, they left the neighborhood. Soon, all the white families left, and slowly, the neighborhood deteriorated. But the Big House stayed standing, and my family stayed as well. After my grandparents died, my aunts and uncles lived in the big house and raised their families there as well. The big house brought us all together for holiday gatherings and family reunions, and my parents even got married there in 1969 in the living room. There was a park across the street where my cousins and I played football, basketball, tag, and skinned our knees and elbows on the playground. See, times were so simple then. We played outside for hours until the street lights came on. We didn't have a care in the world, and nor did we know that we were poor, but we were rich with love. Our aunts, our uncles, and cousins came together to take care of one another. I knew that whatever happened, I had family and community that would support us if things ever went south. But in the summer of 2010, the big house was destroyed by fire after it was struck by lightning. Most of our neighbors, that supportive network, have left the neighborhood as well. And my mother and her siblings have all since passed away. And that sense of community that once held us together, even in the difficult times, has faded. The St. Louis I knew, as so many people knew, had changed. And I won't lie, that change hurts. I miss the big house, and I'm not alone. Too many of our families have seen their neighborhoods fade like my grandparents' old photographs. The legacies and memories we cherish from homes passed from generation to generation have been left to crumble. We cannot rewrite the past, but we can have the hard conversations about how we align our priorities so we can become a country where everyone can succeed. So when I think about the incredible opportunity for my city, for this country, I think of my son, Aiden. See, I want St. Louis to be a place where Aiden can be safe and build a good life, get a good education, and settle down someday. But right now, he doesn't care about all that. He's 16, he's 6'7", he loves basketball, and he thinks that leading a city is the lamest thing ever. See, I want Aiden to have the freedom to live his dreams and pursue any opportunity in front of him. I want him to be safe when he rides his bike to see his friends. I want that kind of safety and security like that he has like when I was a kid. And I want him to feel safe around law enforcement. And like so many Black parents, I've had to talk with him about what to do if he's ever stopped by police. I may be mayor, but I'm a mom first. Thank you. I wonder about the same things as every parent wonders about. With childcare so expensive, how will we pay our rent and mortgage this month? What will it take to make our community a safer place to live? What opportunities are there in my neighborhood for my son to play, get a good education, and thrive? I know you haven't heard this today, but I know you've heard it many times every day. But this is the most important election cycle of our lives. I know we say it every time, but please know what the gravity of that means for 2024. I know I do. See, opportunities to thrive and hope for our future, that's what's at stake and on the ballot in this next election. The choice couldn't be more clear. We must support leaders like President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. If we want everybody to have an opportunity to thrive, to have a fighting chance, we've got to work smart and work hard to keep this thoughtful leadership in the White House. See, voters have one question, and it's what you've done, and it's like the song by Janet Jackson, "What have you done for me lately?" They need to make it clear why they should care. We need to let the voters know what we as Democrats have done for them lately.
Yes.
They should care that Democrats are reducing student loan debt.
Yes.
They should care. They should care that Democrats are fighting like hell for abortion rights. They should care that Democrats reduce the cost of insulin to $35. They should care that President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris are fighting for those who are hurting, those who have been left behind and flat out ignored. I said it once, and I'll say it again. The 2024 election is the most important election of all of our lives. Opportunity and hope are on the ballot. If we care about our future, about our baby's future, we must show up and we must show out.
Yes.
So, I used to be an educator, so I'm going to give you some homework. Take out your phones and open a note, text this to yourself, or if you like me, get a pen and a napkin or some paper and write this down. See, first, we're going to make sure that folks in our circle are registered to vote. Your cousins, your parents, your kids who just turned 18, even your ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend. Yes, I even said your ex. Those folks don't have to be in your home state, but anybody you can reach. Second, give some of your time. Is there anyone currently running for office in the audience? Stand up. They need you to sign up and knock some doors, make some calls, and work the polls. Don't make them track you down. They're in the middle of running an election and defending our democracy. They don't have time to track you down. Sign up on their website or on their mobilized links. Get their phone number or their staff's phone number so they know that they can count on you to help. And make some time for them. If everyone in here commits to working 2 weekends between now and Election Day, that would make a world of difference for the candidates that just stood up and raised their hands. And third and finally, open your wallets or your Cash App or your Venmo or whatever you use. Or if you're like me, write a big check. And even if you can write a small check, do it. If you can commit to donating $5, $10, or $25 per month to a candidate, do it. And as much as I know you despise the periodic text messages that we get from Jamie or the party asking for $5 or $10, I need you to respond to those as well. Do it. Every bit helps. So you didn't know I was reading your text messages. We must take this presidential election by the horns. The other side is not playing fair, and they damn sure aren't playing nice. We must match that energy and fight fire with fire and facts.
Yes.
So repeat after me. Don't talk about it.
Don't talk about it.
Be about it.
Be about it.
We must be about this work, period. So I'm going to have you repeat after me one more time. We will knock doors.
We will knock doors.
We will phone bank.
We will phone bank.
We will donate.
We will donate.
We will win.
We will win.
Thank you and God bless.
That was fantastic. And now we see why she was a history maker here in St. Louis. Thank you, Mayor. We have had a great time here in St. Louis, and we appreciate the mayor's hospitality. I'd now like to introduce Illinois DNC member, clerk of the Circuit Court of Cook County, and the chair of the DNC's Hispanic Caucus, Iris Martinez, to acknowledge Hispanic Heritage Month.
Mr. Chairman, I keep hugging you. I've been hugging the chairman all week long here, on weekend. First and foremost, buenos días. Feliz mes de la Hispanidad. Hello, Democrats, and happy Hispanic Heritage Month. Hispanic Heritage Month is time for us to come together and celebrate the immeasurable contributions Latino Americans have made to our country. From fighting for workers' rights to powering our nation through a pandemic, Latinos have left a mark on our nation history. Simply put, Hispanic heritage is American heritage. In our Democratic Party, we have immigrants and first-generation Latino Americans. Whether we come alone or with our parents or grandparents, we come to America with hearts filled with hope, in search of opportunity and a better future for all of our families and our communities. Our nation is better because of Latino contributions and because our families decided to call America home. As we gear up for our election now through next November, we are ready to get to work to make sure the Latino community responds, continues to show up and fight for the America we believe in. It is my pleasure to be in this fight with you, and God knows I love to fight. Yes. Thank you, and happy Hispanic Heritage Month. Gracias, gracias. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd now like to introduce Arizona DNC member and chair of the DNC's Native American Caucus, Claire Pratt, to acknowledge Indigenous Peoples Day.
Yat Abena, she Claire Pratt and she Kia Ani and Shlim Bilagana, but she's chin Honoratni da she Tessa Anadea Yasanasha e Hatao Dana Asan Shlim. Good morning, Democrats. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you in community today. Thank you for the introduction, Chair Harrison. Today we convene the general session of the 2023 DNC Fall Meeting here in St. Louis, Missouri on the ancestral and traditional lands of many tribes, including the Osage Nation, the Missouria, and the Illini Confederation. We also respectfully recognize and reflect on the experiences of the tribes who were forcibly removed from or forcibly moved through the state of Missouri during the United States Indian removal era. Democrats, we do not hide from our nation's history, but we learn from it and we commit to working to create a more inclusive future as we move forward. This Monday is Indigenous Peoples Day, when our nation will reflect on its historical treatment of our country's first people, our Indigenous people. And we celebrate the resiliency of our Indigenous communities. We are still here, and we are here in droves, and we are proud Democrats. Today, it is my esteemed privilege to welcome to the stage two special guests, Chago Hale and Joe Mitchell, with the Prairie Band of Potawatomi Nation in Kansas, to provide us with prayer and honor songs. Joe Mitchell will start us with prayer. Those who are able, please stand and remove your hats.
Dindochke ewiojit malgoyon, abiwame anen namon, and we can noxion em nawawion, mina tano ewidabwayon. Nahao, quidochke mena we no gishgit, mina no week dorat win and dochke go. Coabum chakbia shote ayet. Nijuk mushanak ewi noctamak ote win it meow. Amatmayake don't min. And when you juk ma go go na we no week do dot you going. Kinan na we pond you go. Mina catch wash and was go nanjigin and then dogs you go. Bado you win dogs a wat chayak bamatsajuk. Shote quit gamuk. Ego in chokshishnak go. Yuksha. I just want to say that we are all here on this earth for a reason. We're here to love each other and to help one another. And we're here to leave this place a better place than what we came into it. We here on this land are a beacon for all the world to see. Let's keep it going. And may God bless the world.
Thank you, Clara. Thank you, Chago. Thank you, Joe. Our next item of business is the approval of committee reports, beginning with the Credentials Committee. The co-chair of the Credentials Committee, Ryan Ramirez, could not be with us this morning, but we're delighted to be joined by Credentials Committee member Daryl Newman, who will provide the committee's report.
Good morning, fellow Democrats. Thank you, Chair Harrison. The Credentials Committee met yesterday and heard an update of 4 credentials challenges filed regarding the July 6th removal of Judge Tyree Irving and election of Sheikh Taylor as chair of the Mississippi Democratic Party. Because all 4 challenges object to the selection of the same DNC member and on similar grounds, the 4 challenges were consolidated in accordance with the rules of procedure of the Credentials Committee. We received an answer from Mr. Taylor regarding the challenges on September the 22nd. As mandated by our rules, the matter is now deferred to the state party for a specified period of time for consideration of the challenge in accordance with state party procedures. We have communicated to all parties that the challenge is deferred to the state party until Monday, December the 4th, 2023. Following the deferral window with the state party, must submit copies of their decision to the committee and each party to the challenge. Any party to the challenges is allowed to appeal to the state party's decision, so as long as the appeal is filed within 10 business days of that decision, which is no later than Monday, December the 18th, 2023. If an appeal is filed, the other parties may file a response to the appeal with the co-chairs of the Credentials Committee no later than Friday, January 5th, 2024. If the state party's decision is appealed, the Credentials Committee will then consider the matter thereafter. In the meantime, as provided by the bylaws, members voted that Sheikh Taylor be temporarily seated for the purposes of this general session meeting to ensure Mississippi's full representation at this meeting today. For the record, I want to note that after much discussion and many questions, 2 members voted to abstain on this motion in the committee meeting. With that, Mr. Chair, I move adoption of the report, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Daryl. We have a motion by the Credentials Committee to temporarily seat Sheikh Taylor as a DNC member from Mississippi only for the purpose of the fall DNC meeting. Is there any discussion? With none, we will move to a vote on a motion by the Credentials Committee on the temporary seating of Mr. Taylor. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and Mr. Taylor is temporarily seated for this meeting. As announced in the Secretary's 30-day meeting notice, we have 1 at-large vacancy to fill at this meeting. The Secretary's 7-day mailing included information about Yvette Lewis from the state of Maryland, the individual that I've nominated to fill the vacancy. There being no other nominations submitted for this position, the chair will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and elect Yvette Lewis by acclamation. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and elect Yvette Lewis by acclamation. In the opinion of the chair, we had more than 2/3 of the members voting in support of the motion to suspend the rules to elect Yvette Lewis, and therefore the motion is adopted. Let's give Yvette a round of applause. Congratulations, Yvette. In addition to the at-large vacancy, we have 1 vacancy on the Executive Committee. The Secretary's 7-day mailing included information about Crystal Spain, who I've nominated to fill the Executive Committee vacancy. As you all know, Crystal is the first black woman to be the chair of the South Carolina Democratic Party. There being no other nominations submitted for this position, the chair again will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and elect Crystal by acclamation. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and elect Crystal Spain by acclamation. In the opinion of the chair, we had more than 2/3 of the members voting in support of the motion to suspend, and therefore the motion is adopted. Please join me in congratulating Crystal Spain. The Secretary's 7-day mailing also included the names of the individuals I'm appointing to fill 8 vacancies on our standing committees. For the Budget and Finance Committee, I'm appointing Chris Lowe as co-chair and Jack Dulworth from Kentucky as a committee member. For the Credentials Committee, I'm appointing Hilda Solis as co-chair and Trish Ruiz as a committee member. For the Resolutions Committee, I'm appointing Barry Goodman and Sonia Witten as committee members. For the Rules and Bylaws Committee, I'm appointing Carol Ronan and Yvette Lewis as committee members. I thank these members for agreeing to serve on these committees, and I ask for your support in ratifying these appointments. Okay. So the chair will entertain a motion to approve these appointments. Second? We have a motion and a second to approve the appointment of these 8 members to the standing committee. All those in favor of ratifying the chair's appointment, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Thank you for the support of our new standing committee appointments. Whew. We will now move to, I'm trying to get y'all on your planes today. We will now move to the approval of the Resolutions Committee report. The co-chairs of the Credentials Committee, Rich Fitzgerald and Patrice Taylor, could not be with us this morning, but we're delighted to be joined by Resolutions Committee member Sandy Upstreet, who will provide the committee's report. Before we hear from Sandy, I'd like to take a moment to thank our Resolutions Committee co-chairs, Patrice Taylor and Rich Fitzgerald, for their leadership and their commitment to the party. This committee report includes resolutions that make important statements of our values, like our support of the Biden-Harris administration's historic economic agenda, which has transformed our economy with one of the strongest job creation periods in American history and a historic stretch of near record low unemployment, including historically low unemployment for Black and Hispanic Americans, as well as our administration's ambitious climate agenda, which has done far more to address the climate crisis and environmental injustice than any other administration in our nation's history. And I also like to personally acknowledge several of the commemorative resolutions. There's one resolution of somebody that I think all of us adored, Jenny Lou Blackton. Many know, particularly our state party chairs, know Jenny. I adored and enjoyed working with her when I was the South Carolina party chair. She helped us create a much-watched video web series that I had down there called Chair Chats that featured some very notable Democratic Party stalwarts, from Bernie Sanders to Hillary Clinton. We're just going to miss Jenny. We are really going to miss Jenny. And I want to recognize, in addition, the passing of 2 other folks that I knew very personally, 2 South Carolinians, David Mack, a personal friend, a devoted Democrat and former member of the South Carolina State House, and John Scott, whose dedication to the people of South Carolina spanned over 3 decades, with 18 years of service in the State House of Representatives before he became a state senator. And we've unfortunately lost quite a few great leaders in the time since our last meeting, and that also includes one of our biggest supporters, Senator Dianne Feinstein from the great state of California. Senator Feinstein was a leader in every sense of the word. She was the first woman president of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, first woman mayor of San Francisco, and along with Barbara Boxer, one of the first women elected as U.S. Senators from California, the first woman to chair the Senate Rules and Administration Committee, and the first woman to chair the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. We are better for every leadership position she served in because she knew the importance of using her roles to affect actual change. But the strongest aspect of her legacy is not just the historic roles she filled or the monumental legislative changes she accomplished. Senator Feinstein knew better than anyone that being the first only matters if you help bring up the second. And she did that. Senator Feinstein not only took her rightfully earned seat at the table, she made sure to open the door to the next generation of women leaders. And because of that, her legacy will continue to live on. With that, I'll turn it over to the resolutions member, Sandy Upstreet, to present the committee's report.
Good morning, Democrats. Thank you, Chair Harrison, for the opportunity to present the report of the Resolutions Committee. On behalf of the committee, I want to express our appreciations to the members who submitted resolutions. I also want to thank the DNC staff who worked with the co-chairs to verify the accuracy of the resolutions and to make sure they complied with the party's policies and the principles expressed in the platform, or to honor a recently deceased prominent Democrat. The Resolutions Committee met on Thursday, October 5th, to consider 48 resolutions sent to DNC members in the Secretary's 14-day mailing, along with 7 urgent and timely resolutions. Each of the 55 resolutions were considered by the Resolutions Committee, and sponsors were heard. All 21 message and 34 commemorative resolutions were overwhelmingly supported by the members and are recommended by the Committee for Approval by the DNC. Included in the resolutions package recommended for your approval is a resolution in support of Bidenomics and President Biden's historic economic agenda, highlighting how in just 2.5 years, the Biden-Harris economic agenda has delivered results for the American families, including historic job growth, which is evidenced by yesterday's strong job growth numbers, historically low unemployment, an American manufacturing boom, and lowering cost of energy bills, prescription drugs, and more. A resolution protecting the right to vote, calling on Congress to take action by passing the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act and joining President Biden in reaffirming our commitment to championing the cause of democracy, protecting the sacred right to vote and the sanctity of our elections, and defending our electoral process. A resolution celebrating the American worker and labor, supporting efforts to restore a fair economy for American workers, protect the right to collectively bargain and strike, and punish those who violate workers' rights, and underscoring how President Joe Biden has kept his promise to the American people to be the most pro-union president in the history of our nation, as demonstrated by being the first president to join a picket line. A resolution to reinstate Biden child tax credit and make it permanent. Reaffirming our support for American families and freedoms, urging the passage of a budget that reflects our values as a nation. A resolution honoring the life and career of political activist and organizer Alita Huguenin, who previously served as head of government relations for the California Teachers Association. A resolution honoring the life and career of my former U.S. Senator from Iowa, Dick Clark. A resolution honoring the life and career of former President of the United Steelworkers Union, Thomas Michael Conway. And a resolution honoring the life and career of Governor Bill Richardson, a dedicated public servant, courageous diplomat, and as the resolution notes, a stalwart of the Democratic Party, an exemplary Hispanic public figure who furthered democratic causes and spent his life fighting for New Mexicans and Americans at home and abroad. With that, Mr. Chair, I move approval of the resolutions as recommended by the Resolutions Committee.
Thank you, Sandy. The Resolutions Committee has given its report and moved its approval. Is there any discussion? Seeing no further questions or comments, we will move to a vote on the motion to approve the report of the Resolutions Committee. All those in favor of approving the report of the Resolutions Committee, say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the Resolutions Committee report is adopted. Thank you, Sandy. I'd now like to introduce two of my very good friends to present reports on DNC finances. Treasurer Virginia McGregor and National Finance Chair Chris Courts. These two understand that the work that we do this year lays a foundation for victory up and down the ballot next year. Their work ensures that the DNC enters this presidential cycle better equipped than we've ever have been before. With that, I'll hand it over to Virginia and Chris.
Well, thanks, everyone, and I am so energized by all that I have seen over the last few days, and I am so proud to be your DNC treasurer, because I'm here to tell you that the Democratic Party is strong, and we are in the best we have ever been. Give a good clap for that. Because we are delivering for the American people in both our actions and our messaging. What separates our party from the Republican Party is not only the money raised, although that is important, but how we spend our money. We have a clear and straightforward path to win, because everything we say is going to clearly define the differences between the two parties and let people know what's at stake. Everything we invest in is going to help re-elect President Biden and Vice President Harris. Everything we do is going to elect Democrats up and down the ballot. The success we're seeing in fundraising this year is due in part to the last 3 years of DNC investments in our finance team and in our grassroots fundraising team. We spent the last 3 years growing and strengthening our Democratic donor base, and the early investments we received because of that gave us the resources today to support the party and the president's re-election campaign. So now we begin the essential work of how we spend our money. To let people know about these differences and to put our record-breaking early investments to work. This is what's going to separate us from the Republican Party, and the DNC has poured millions into state parties for the 2023 off-year elections. Those investments include $1.5 million into the Virginia legislative races. And seven-figure investments in key governor races this fall. We supported the Wisconsin State Party leading up to the incredible state Supreme Court election earlier this year. That's right. And what an amazing victory, and that highlights the support of our message. To that end, we've hired communications and messaging staff in key Republican primary states to combat the extreme MAGA Republican messaging. And we are showing up in all 50 states, whether they are red or they are blue. We have invested in local media placements in high visibility zones along Republican events. Wherever the Republicans are gathering, we are going to be there too. For example, if you were on a Michigan highway last weekend, ahead of Trump's speech, you would have seen the DNC billboards calling out Trump's record of failing American auto workers. And if you remember the Republican presidential debate last week at the Reagan Library, we had planes pulling banners calling out the Republican Party for their extreme MAGA agenda. We are literally waving the flag and sometimes banners, in this case, for voters to understand what's at stake between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. When President Biden announced his re-election bid in April, we launched a 7-figure ad campaign promoting the commitment to democratic values and freedom. We have also continued to ramp up our tech infrastructure, and that includes enhancements to our voter file, which is the only system of its kind available to any Democrat running for office. This file now has cell phone numbers and cell phone information for more than 80% of voter entries. 80%. And we refresh that data 75% more than the Republicans do. That means Democrats running for office from the top of the ticket down have the most up-to-date voter contact information available. We have also renewed our partnership with the Democratic Data Exchange, also known as DDX, which will allow the entire Democratic Party to be more efficient, to be more effective, and to target and contracting voters. And in other partnerships, we are opening a second headquarters in Wilmington so that the DNC can be co-located with President Biden's re-election campaign. We now have more than 300 people on staff, and that isn't just a number. That represents some of the best and brightest in the country. And finally, we're making early investments in the first party-wide relational organizing platform. Now, you might be asking, what is relational organizing? Well, it basically means that people trust what they hear from someone they know, like a friend or a neighbor or coworker, more than they trust hearing that same thing from a stranger like the media. This relational organizing platform is going to be the linchpin of our 2024 organizing strategy. It's going to allow Democrats everywhere to tap into their networks and to carry our message. And like Jamie has said, we're going to be traveling across the country to make sure that you have everything you need to carry that message too. Every state party will have the resources they need. I hope everyone had a chance to read the recent New York Times article last week about how Democrats in Pennsylvania and in Wisconsin and in New Hampshire are flipping seats blue. As the article said, this proves that the Democratic Party message is resonating with voters across the country. I think we can clap for that. Now, I know it's going to be a long year ahead, and these early investments are the foundation to protect our democracy. And with these resources and more, we are going to re-elect President Biden and Vice President Harris. We are going to expand our gains in the Senate. We are going to take back the House, and we are going to see that Democrats' victories up and down the ballot and across the country in 2024. There's a lot of noise out there, but this is what we're focused on, and it is electing Democrats, it's building the best teams, it's getting the message out, and it's letting people know very clearly the differences between the two parties and what's at stake if the Republicans gain power. And I was so energized and inspired by Vice President Harris yesterday. And I want to continue on her message. And it's something that everyone here can do, and I intend to do it myself as many times as needed. To get President Biden and Vice President Harris reelected, we need to clearly explain as many times as needed in all of our very own circles and networks the differences between the two parties, what each party stands for, and the results that they can stand behind, because the contrast could not be more clear. Republicans are looking out for a very small group. They want to put our country on a path that would be very hard to come back from, whereas Democrats are the only party working to dismantle the barriers to gender equality, to address the climate crisis, the gun violence prevention, putting more money in the pockets of American families, and more. While the Republican Party is bent on tearing things down to benefit a few, the Democratic Party is the only party looking out for everyone to build a strong middle class and to have a strong nation. It's sad and it's a very grave situation for our democracy, but it's true. But as they say, you cannot wring your hands and roll up your sleeves at the same time. So let's roll up our sleeves and get to work. Thank you, everybody.
All right, Virginia tells you how we spend the money, and I tell you how we get it. And I happen to be not only the DNC finance chair, but the Biden Victory Fund finance chair. But I want to start off first by thanking Virginia, Jason, Ken. You know, it's been, I've been here going on 5 years, kind of hard to believe. And being with them has made it a lot easier, I will tell you that. And of course, our chairman, he is amazing. This guy, if he wasn't here, I don't know, I seriously doubt I'd be here. Because he is not only a great chairman, but a real good friend, and he commits himself every day. And thank you, Mr. Chairman, for everything that you do. folks, our mission is really simple. We're trying to save our democracy. And not only are we trying to save our own democracy, but when we do that, and we will do that, we will be saving other democracies around this world. And it's crazy when you think of what just happened in Israel, and my heart goes out to the Israeli people and any and all victims that are going to result from this unnecessary war. But we need now to just keep our eye on the ball. We need to save our democracy, and the way we're going to do that is by having the funds we need to wage the battle that we will wage. Now, the third quarter of the year just passed on September 30th, and all I can tell you right now is we did a great job. We crisscrossed the country, the president, the vice president, the first lady, second gentleman. And we did everything we could to drive in money, and the results will all be coming out at the end of next week when we file our report. But we were able to do that because of the help of the chairman and Sam Cornell and all 50 state parties, the DNC and the Biden for President campaign. We have launched the largest ever joint fundraising committee in the history of either party. This is historic. And because of that, we are able to raise more money collectively. Every single state party is involved in this effort. After the second quarter, our first quarter, with quite frankly only 6 weeks of fundraising, you all saw that we raised $72 million. That was more than double of what Donald Trump raised and 3.5 times of what Ron DeSantis raised. And at the end of the second quarter, we had $77 million in cash. We are building a war chest that will be unmatched, I promise you. And our grassroots fundraising will lead us into this victory. It's not just about major donors, it's about everyone, including each and every one of you. And I know most of you, maybe even all of you at that point, have given to the Biden Victory Fund. If you haven't, I'm asking you to do that. Everyone needs to invest in this, and invest as much as you can and as often as you can. So I just want to leave you with just a short two things. One, I also want to tell you that after Vice President Harris left here, she did a fundraiser for us here in St. Louis at one of our largest and best raisers and donors in the country's home. And she was amazing. I want to say this. She crisscrosses this country and does things that are amazing. She just does whatever we ask her to do to help us raise the money. Same with the president and the first lady and the second gentleman. They have been just amazing in this effort, and they deserve a hand for that. I really want you to know that. So help us all. We're all invested. We're in this together to save our democracy. I know we will get this done. I look forward to seeing many of you at the convention, or all of you, I hope. And let's just keep going forward. Without your work, your grassroots work, this will never happen. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Virginia. Really appreciate the reports. The staff noted, because I'm going so quickly, I was reminded that I did not give you all a clear opportunity to vote on the election of Yvette and Crystal. And so I want to do that because we have the best parliamentarian in the world, and she dots her I's and crosses her T's. And a little later on, I'm going to tell y'all something about her too. But please vote in favor of these two nominees. So those in favor of Yvette Lewis, as an at-large member and Crystal Spain as a member of the Executive Committee, please say aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Okay, Helen, I did my work. Our next item of business is the report from the Rules and Bylaws Committee. I want to express my appreciation to our RBC co-chairs, Jim Roosevelt and Mignon Moore, and each member of the committee for all of the work that they put in this cycle, but especially at yesterday's marathon meeting. It was a marathon meeting. I continue to be impressed by the level of commitment and thoughtfulness we've seen from this committee, and I'm so grateful for the work that they do. With that, I'll recognize Co-Chair Jim Roosevelt to present the report of the Rules and Bylaws Committee.
Thank you, Chair Harrison. I want to mention that my wonderful co-chair, Mignon Moore, is at the moment doing at least 2 full-time jobs. She is, as you know, chair of the convention in Chicago and doing a fabulous job there. She was here until about a couple hours ago, and she's now had to fly off to do other things, so I'm going to present the report on her behalf and on behalf of our entire committee. Since the last DNC meeting, we have been hard at work reviewing delegate selection plans. You may have heard that we met for 6 hours yesterday, and are proud to announce that we currently have 36 delegate selection plans in conditional compliance and 18 plans in full compliance. This is a normal place to be within the review process, and we are looking forward to working with all states to achieve full compliance. We have at least 2 and perhaps 3 meetings scheduled between now and the beginning of December, so we are still hard at work. We all laugh, right? The main purpose of our report is to update all of you on the status of the challenges received against the State Democratic Executive Committee of Alabama, referred to as the SDEC. In June, the DNC received complaints from 3 sets of challengers that alleged irregularities in the conduct of an SDCE meeting at which a new set of state party bylaws was adopted, and that further alleged that the new bylaws are in conflict with the DNC's charter and bylaws. The DNC Executive Committee referred all pending and future challenges related to the May 6th Alabama SDEC meeting to our Rules and Bylaws Committee for review. We expeditiously developed and shared rules of procedure with the parties. In accordance with those rules, the SDC appointed Ms. Kim Keenan to serve as the hearing officer to hold a hearing and produce a report for the RBC's consideration. Ms. Keenan is a Democrat who is a recognized leader among multicultural social justice organizations and has served as general counsel to the NAACP and president of the National Bar Association. Ms. Keenan conducted an evidentiary hearing on September 8, where the parties were provided ample opportunity to offer evidence and arguments in support of or in opposition to the challenges. I mentioned we had a 6-hour meeting yesterday. They had a 9-hour hearing about 3 weeks ago. Following the hearing, Ms. Keenan submitted her report to the RBC and the parties. Yesterday, the RBC heard directly from Ms. Keenan and the parties. Following a robust discussion, the RBC unanimously voted to approve the resolution included in our report, which requires that the SDC hold a new vote to pass bylaws in compliance with the DNC's charter and bylaws not later than February 1, 2024, and requires that all duly elected members of the SDC be permitted to participate. The resolution that was adopted also requires certain procedural safeguards to ensure equal participation. I'm not going to read the entire resolution because it's 3.5 pages long, of which 2 pages are whereases. But if you'd like to see it, I'm sitting right over there. We hope that you will support the report of the Rules and Bylaws Committee, and with that, Mr. Chair, I move the adoption of the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Rules and Bylaws Committee has given its report and moved its approval by the membership. Is there any discussion? Seeing no further question or comments, and you all know that committees don't require seconds, so just so you know. Yeah, but thank you. Seeing no further questions or comments, we will move to a vote on the motion to approve the report of the Rules and Bylaws Committee. All those in favor of approving the report of the Rules and Bylaws Committee say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the Rules and Bylaws Committee report is adopted. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, as you heard in the Resolutions Committee report, the Democratic Party is the party that supports unions. We are the Labor Party. I would like to take a moment to thank all of the members who came out yesterday to put our words into action by joining Katie Dethridge and her fellow auto workers on the picket lines in Wentzville yesterday. Katie is the first female president of UAW Local 2250. I'm going to say it again. 2222. They are a local with just under 4,000 members. Katie has over 20 years of permanent service with UAW and GM. I want to thank Katie for inviting us to join the line yesterday, and I am delighted to have her join us here today. President Dethridge, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Woo! 2-2? There you have it. Good morning, Democrats. Thank you for the opportunity for me to be here speaking in front of all of you. It is an absolute privilege and an honor to be here. Again, my name is Katie Dethridge. I am the president of UAW Local 2250. Thank you. I was just elected in May of 2023, so to say I jumped into the fire is an understatement. So like the chairman said, we're a local of just under 4,000, 3,750 are General Motors UAW represented employees. We work at GM Assembly in Wentzville, Missouri, where we build the full-size Chevy and GMC vans along with the Chevy Colorado and the GMC Canyon, the mid-size pickup trucks. We were the first GM facility. UAW President Shawn Fain called to walk out in this historical stand-up strike against the Big Three. It is an honor. It is an honor to lead us out in this historical strike, the stand-up strike that we're doing. In 2007, UAW members gave up many concessions to help save the auto industry, with the agreement that these concessions would be returned to us when the companies became profitable again. This agreement has turned into broken promises. We gave up cost of living adjustments, pensions, retirement health care, and several other concessions. We went 12 years without a raise. In my 20 and a half years, I've received less than $5 in wage increases. The Big Three have been making record profits into the billions. Vehicle prices has risen over 40%. Management has received 40% in raises, yet the average cost of labor per vehicle is only 7%. We are not the problem. Corporate greed is the problem. We are standing up to the broken promises. We're standing up for job security, to keep our jobs here in America. We're standing up to end tears. We're standing up for a fair contract, and we are standing up against that corporate greed. Words cannot express enough our gratitude for the overwhelming support that we are receiving from our political allies, labor leaders, and the community around us. From walking the picket line with us to the abundance of donations, from the words of encouragement on social media to the honks as you drive by our picket line. It's all encouraging to help my members to stand strong and hold that line one day longer. One day stronger, absolutely. Going on strike is never easy, but is sometimes necessary. the financial burdens and the uncertainties that our membership will feel as we go further into this. But I can tell you, without a doubt, we will continue to hold that line.
Yes.
Absolutely. We do not fight for just us. We fight for justice. UAW and the labor union set the standards for American workers. When we win, we all win, and we will win. Thank you again to those that joined us last night on the picket line. We truly appreciate the energy that you brought to our picket line, and thank you for your continued support. Thank you again for the opportunity to be here today and for always having our backs, as we will always have yours. Thank you. 2-2. 2-2. 2-2. Thank you.
I will now ask Secretary Ray to make any announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since we last gathered in Philadelphia in February, we've added 42 new members to the DNC. So if you are a new member and this is your first meeting, please stand up so we can recognize you. We are excited to have all of you as a part of our large DNC family. Now that we are wrapping up our 6th meeting this cycle, my team is shifting gears to focus on certifying all 5,000 convention participants to the 2024 National Convention. And while I wish I could have welcomed you all to Milwaukee in person in 2020, I cannot wait to have our convention back in the Midwest in 2024. I know that the convention team is working endlessly to throw a successful convention, which we will all enjoy next year. With that, our next meeting of the Democratic National Committee will take place on August 23rd, 2024 in Chicago after the convention ends. Now I believe that we have a short video to display, so if you'll turn your attention to the screens for the video.
When it comes to special elections this year, Democrats are feeling pretty optimistic. 30 different special elections so far in 2023. When you look through this list, you see Democrats overperforming their baseline over and over and over again.
Because last night, Florida Democrats scored their biggest election victory in years in Jacksonville. Democrat Donna Deegan shocked the state with an upset win in her bid to become the first female mayor of Florida's most populous city.
Virginia state senator is now in the history books. Jennifer McClellan has won a special election in Virginia's 4th district. This means she'll be the first black woman to represent Virginia in Congress.
Last night in New Hampshire, Democrat Hal Rafter defeated Republican James Gazowski 56-44 in a special election to fill a Republican-held seat. It was a Trump district until last night when the Democrat won by 12 points.
Supporters of abortion rights in Ohio are claiming a huge victory this morning after voters rejected a measure that would have made it harder to amend the state constitution.
Ohio, we did it! We did it!
It was a huge win for democracy last night in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin voters have made their voices heard.
This was a voter uprising. This was a state that has suffered through blow after blow after blow. But last night, voters cast their final ballots and said absolutely no more.
The data's all pointing in the same direction, which is that Democrats are kicking ass.
If you look at the special elections that have happened over the past few years, and look at places like Wisconsin, the Supreme Court race there, you look at what happened in Ohio in terms of the ballot measure, Democrats are overperforming our partisan lean in those elections. And so I know polls are important for a lot of folks, but the most important poll is what happens at the ballot box. And so there's a lot of energy on the ground. I'm excited about it. And I think in the end of the day, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are going to do what they did in 2020. They're going to bring out a record number of people to support their agenda, which is based on delivering for the American people.
Bottom line, my friends, it's about finishing the damn job. That is what it's about. I want to start off by thanking our Missouri Democratic Party and their chair, the great Russ Carnahan, for their hospitality and for hosting us here in the great city of St. Louis. I also want to thank all of our staff and volunteers for their tireless work this week. My friends, without these folks, this meeting would not have been possible. I want to thank all of the staff here at the hotel who've just been there, so gracious in helping us with all of our needs. And what a great meeting it's been. We got some important business done. We saw many friends, old and new, and we put our values on display, including by standing with our UAW brothers and sisters in the movement. That was a lot of fun. I want to give a special shout out, though, to our Labor Council Chair, Stuart Applebaum. Shout out to Jen Haas, who handles the DNC's labor portfolio, and to Libby Schneider for helping us organize yesterday's event and for giving so many of us the opportunity to join the picket line. My friends, you know, since I've been chair, I have traveled all around this country, and I've even visited some of our Democrats abroad. And I'm often asked two questions. Why are you a Democrat? And why do you support Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? You know, the answer is easy. And the answer is centered around the contest for these upcoming elections. I support them and I support this party because I support hope over fear. And I believe in progress rather than chaos. You know, the Democratic Party, and I'll say it until I can't say it anymore, is the party of hope. We understand that this nation's better days are in front of her and not behind her. We believe that the role of our government is to help all of America's people, regardless of who you are, what you look like, who you pray to, or who you love. That is who we are as a party. That is who we are as a nation. And I support our president and vice president because they embody those values. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are good people. As my grandma likes to say, they're decent folk. They get up every day, not focused on their power, not focused on some title, but focused on how they are going to deliver for all of America's people. You know, when I was a 9th grade social studies teacher, I used to teach my students that the best way to make a point, the best way to persuade anybody, an audience, and anyone, is to show and not tell. We can tell someone that we support them, but we can show them that we support them by fighting for them. And we can do that through our deeds and through our actions. In 2020, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris told us that they would fight for us. And since January 20, 2021, they have shown us that they fight for us. They appointed the most diverse cabinet in the nation's history, making sure that every group had a seat at the table and a determination of what the menu was for that table. As the nation was crippled with COVID, they fought to put shots in arms, money in people's pockets. They kept our businesses open, and they supported our unions and our emergency officials. They supported our teachers. When the previous administration promised to tackle the nation's dilapidated infrastructure, this president said, I'm not going to make a promise, I'm going to actually get it done. Largest investment in infrastructure since Dwight Eisenhower. Roads, bridges, getting rid of lead pipes, and broadband. Nearly 14 million jobs created. More jobs in 2 years than any administration has ever created in 4 years. The CHIPS and Science Act, which is focused on American manufacturing, If you don't believe that this legislation is important, ask the good people in Arizona, because they will tell you. We got the mayor of Phoenix right here. She will tell you that it's building and delivering good jobs, good paying jobs, good paying union jobs. The PACT Act, taking care of our nation's veterans. Folks, I'm from a military family. 2 of my uncles have served in the military, gone over to Iraq and Afghanistan. I know how hard it is to be a military family. The other side likes to say that they are pro-military, probably pro-defense industry. But to be pro-military is about being pro of the military veterans and the families, the people who we send over, and the people who they leave behind. Provided $7 billion to our historically black colleges and universities and wiped out all of their capital debt. Appointed more minorities to the courts. Appointed more African American women to the courts of appeals than all administrations combined, including the first black woman in the United States Supreme Court. The first president to ever tackle the issue of student loan debt, folks. And it's a big deal. I just recently met this young woman who told me she applied for student loan debt relief one time, didn't hear back, didn't get it. And she said, you know, Mr. Chairman, 3 months ago, I got a letter from the Department of Education. And in that letter, they said that your $150,000 of student loan debt is gone. It is zero. And she, with tears, said, I will just want you to thank President Joe Biden. And she said, now I'm going to be able to go help somebody else. She just funded 2 internship programs in her office because she now has the resources to do so. The largest ever investment in fighting our climate crisis ever of any nation on this globe. The American Climate Corps that was just announced. Fighting back against gun violence and establishing an office right there in the White House. So there's so much, my friends, that we have been able to accomplish. I know the other side complains about a 5-seat majority, but we got this all done with a 5-seat majority in the House. Thanks to the Democrats and thanks to the greatest of all time, Nancy Pelosi. So as we look forward to November and beyond, we have a whole lot to be hopeful about. My friends, because of you, Democrats are already winning, as you saw in that video, up and down the ballot. Because of you, we secured our majority again in the Pennsylvania State House. Because of you, we flipped control of Jacksonville, Florida, the biggest city in the country that was still controlled by Republicans. Because of you, we won by 12 points in a seat that Donald Trump won by 6 in New Hampshire. Because of you, my friends, we flipped the Wisconsin State Supreme Court and elected a pro-choice, pro-democracy, and pro-equality justice. And because of you, Republicans in Ohio, who introduced a last-minute ballot measure that would have made it harder to protect abortion access in the state. But guess what? We still beat them. But we still got more work to do. And that's why during this meeting, I issued a special challenge to our membership to run a Democrat in every single race across this country, up and down the ballot. But particularly, folks, because I believe that the winds of change are blowing in this nation. People saw what happened on the floor of the House just this past week. We need a Democrat running in all 435 races for the U.S. House of Representatives. I told you back in January, it's just a short-term house rental, a bad Airbnb. And we're going to take our Lysol and bleach and clean it all up. We'll get rid of the carpet and the curtains and everything else. I'll drive the moving truck myself. Because guess what? We are going to take the House back, and we are going to get the first black Speaker of the House in Hakeem Jeffries. Folks, we're going to take it back. Take it back. Take it back. Take it back. Because apparently they don't know what to use it for. My friends, no matter how red the state is or how hopeless you might feel, if there's a race in your state where there is no Democratic candidate, go out and recruit a candidate to run. And if you can't find a candidate, run yourself. That's how I ran against Lindsey Graham. I was sitting there watching those Kavanaugh hearings, and I was getting upset. And my wife said, well, why are you getting upset? I said, because we need to find somebody to run. And she said, aren't you somebody? Friends, we got to keep giving people hope. And even though I lost, there are young people who come up to me still. There was a father, and I'll show you all the picture after this meeting, who saw me in the airport, and I was tired coming back home. And he said, you Jamie Harrison, right? And I said, yeah. He said, I want to show you something. And he pulled out his phone. He said, my daughter was obsessed with your campaign. Little girl, about the same age as my son. He said, I want to show you a picture that she made for you. And it's this picture of this Charlie Brown-headed little guy. And underneath it says, Jamie Harrison. She held it up. It is because, he said, because you gave her hope. They saw you and you gave them hope. So even if we don't win the contest, sometimes it's not about the immediate contest, but it's the long-term battle that we have in this country. Because it will fill my heart with pride one day if that little girl, who was inspired by my campaign, one day runs for governor of South Carolina. We are in the fight of our lifetime. Democracy itself is on the line. The future of our children and grandchildren, they're all on the line. So we need to keep showing folks that when times get tough, when the odds are stacked against us, Democrats will never stop fighting for the people. And that's the power of the work that we do, my friends. When they meet us with doubt, when we put our heads down and we go to work with hearts filled with hope, they can't stop us. They won't stop us. So the hand-wringing that we see all over social media, the naysaying, Joe Biden is 80. Yeah, and his age ain't going to change. Because with those 80 years have come wisdom and experience. While the other side is playing checkers, he is playing chess. Because he's focused on delivering for the American people. Some have even said, the old age thing. And I told some of you this the other day, because Jim Clyburn always got a message for you. Because I remember being on one of those snotty-nosed little Capitol Hill staffers, and I was in Clyburn's office, and I said, hey, Congressman, I just don't know why some of these older folks just don't move on and allow some of the young people to get on. That was 20-some years ago now. And he leaned back in his chair, and he said, He said, Jamie, let me ask you something. What would you prefer? An old Thurgood Marshall or a young Clarence Thomas? My friends, it's not about the age, it's about the values. When people go to the polls, they don't vote based on somebody's age or what they look like, what type of clothes they have on. They go because they want somebody who will fight for them. They want somebody who will deliver for them. Somebody who understands and sees them and hears them and values them. And you can't tell me that Joe Biden doesn't get up each and every day to do just that for all of America's people. Now, as many of you know, this is our last DNC meeting before next year's convention. And I look forward to our convention because I find myself reflecting back on my very first experience with politics when I turned on the TV. Well, really, my grandfather had the TV on already. And we watched the 1988 Democratic National Convention. Reflecting back, I was 12 years old at the time. Again, little round-headed boy from Orangeburg, South Carolina. Son of a teenage mom who dropped out of school. Raised by a grandfather with a 4th grade education who paved roads, and a grandmother with an 8th grade education who picked cotton and cleaned houses. And we sat there that night and we listened to Reverend Jesse Jackson. A man who looked like me. A man who came from the same state that I lived in. Who told us that it is up to us and us alone to keep hope alive. To believe, like President Biden, that our best days are ahead of us and not behind us. And now, my friends, I can't help but think about how that same round-headed boy from Orangeburg will be gaveling in the 2024 Democratic National Convention. But I'll be up there, and that moment won't be about me, my friends. It will be about all of you and the people that you love, the people that you fight for each and every day. It will be about what the Democratic Party stands for and who we fight for. Because despite all of the noise, despite the doubters, we as a party and the party's leaders have kept our heads down. And we've shown them with our hearts, we've shown them with our actions, that joy will always come in the morning. And I know, because you poured your heart, your sweat and tears into this party, joy is coming next November. My friends, we just have to keep giving our people reason to hope. We have to show them that when the other side meets us with fear and division, that we march forward with hope and unity. Folks, it is the honor of a lifetime to be in this fight with you. This is the best damn team in the history of the Democratic Party that we've ever had. So truly, from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say two of the most precious words in our language. Thank you. So before we go to our benediction, and we're going to hear from Sarah, thank you all. Thank you. We do, I do want to, and I have some more, or just general announcements, I guess. Maybe I'll hold this for the last one. I now want to introduce Sarah Levin, our co-chair of the DNC's Interfaith Council, to deliver our benediction. Sarah, let me make sure I'm not skipping ahead of myself. Yeah. Sarah proudly represents the secular community as a co-chair of the Democratic National Committee's Interfaith Council. In 2016, she facilitated the establishment of the first ever secular caucus in the Texas Democratic Party. Hold on up, Sarah. And worked with secular Democrats to get 3 secular policy resolutions incorporated into the party's platform. She helped us to pass a resolution in 2019 at the DNC that expressly welcomes religiously unaffiliated voters into the party, recognizing their values and historic marginalization. Please welcome our friend Sarah to deliver our benediction.
Good morning, Democrats. Thank you, Chairman Harrison, for the opportunity to deliver today's benediction. We gathered here in St. Louis, Missouri to collaborate, to prepare to move forward as a unified body, and to draw energy and inspiration from one another that will nourish us as we turn our attention to the hard work that lies ahead of us. At our Interfaith Council meeting on Thursday morning, I was honored to share the stage with veteran civil rights activist and former secretary of the Missouri Democratic Party, Reverend Darrell Gray, who turns out is a very close friend of yours, Mr. Chairman. Reverend Gray began his advocacy journey working with the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, founded by the late Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Reverend Gray is one of 14 clergy suing the state of Missouri to overturn its abortion ban. Yes, we should clap for that. And they're suing on the basis that it violates the Missouri State Constitution, which calls for the separation of religion and government. Because abortion is a matter of religious freedom. When a state bans abortion, it codifies a narrow set of religious beliefs that does not represent everyone, and therefore violates the religious freedom of its citizens. Democrats have been on the front lines working to protect access to abortion in the face of Republicans' relentless attacks on reproductive health care. And therefore, it is Democrats, not Republicans, that have been on the front lines defending religious freedom. Excuse me, these are a little bit out of order. Thanks for your patience. This is my first time.
You're great.
Thank you. Reverend Gray, a devout, lifelong Christian who has been doing this work for longer than I've been alive, and I, a humanist and atheist Jewish millennial, could not be more aligned when it comes to our understanding of religious freedom. And that shouldn't come as a surprise, because interfaith work is not about shared beliefs. When you bring people of different belief systems together, you're not going to agree on matters of theology, but that's not the point. Interfaith work brings us together around our shared values. We value the inherent worth and dignity of every human being. We share a desire to alleviate suffering and provide opportunities for everyone to thrive and prosper in our nation. We share a commitment to be good stewards of the one planet we have and to leave the world a better place than we found it. And we share a commitment to fight with everything we've got to defend democracy itself. Reverend Gray is one of thousands of clergy and civic leaders across the nation that we can take example from, who understand that to win the battle for bodily autonomy is to also win the battle for freedom of conscience and freedom of religion. In the midst of great pain and harm caused by the GOP's draconian anti-choice policies, may we forge strong, trusted partnerships in our communities with faith and civic leaders who can help us to activate the millions of Americans waking up to a post-Roe world. As Democrats, we embrace our diversity as a strength. We are the big tent party, big enough to include people of all faiths, of all spiritualities, and non-religious folks like me. We're not afraid of a changing religious landscape. We embrace it because we believe in pluralistic democracy. We, the Democratic Party, are the party of religious freedom. And don't you think it's time that we take those words back from the GOP? Then with this benediction, we set our intention to honor and take pride in the diversity of beliefs within our party, to be unified in our shared values, and to be guided by empathy, compassion, and our shared humanity. I will end here with the words of the late astronomer and science educator Carl Sagan. Every one of us is, in the cosmic perspective, precious. If a human disagrees with you, let him live. In 100 billion galaxies, you will not find another. Thank you.
So,
Asian American Pacific Islander Caucus would like to be recognized for a special resolution today to be presented to honor Jamie R. Harrison. Whereas Jamie R. Harrison was born in Orangeburg, South Carolina on February 5th, 1976, and as a young child raised by his single mother and grandparents, earned a scholarship to attend Yale University and graduate in the most fitting major, political science, of course, and returning to teach at a high school to help low-income youth to the path and the college career, and graduate from the prestigious Georgetown Law School. Whereas Jamie Harrison serves as Director of Floor Operations of Democratic Whip Representative Jim Clyburn, Executive Director of the House Democratic Caucus, and the Vice Chair of the South Carolina Democratic Party. And whereas Jamie Harrison became the very first African-American chief of the chair of the South Carolina Democratic Party in May 2013, and nominated by President Biden to serve as DNC chair in January 2021. Whereas Chairperson Jamie Harrison understands that grassroots politics is essential to winning elections, having been the South Carolina State Democratic Party chair and being a candidate for the United States Senate. Whereas Jamie Harrison recognizes the importance of the Asian American and Pacific Islander vote and has consistently appreciated that the AAPI vote was a margin victory of both the Biden-Harris ticket and Democrats winning control of the United States Senate, particularly in key states where he knows that the AAPI vote in these states went 2-1 for our party's candidates. And whereas Jamie Harrison has been a strong supporter of our DNC AAPI caucus and has made sure that the diversity of the DNC staff, including hiring a wealth of AAPIs at all levels and departments of the DNC, and contracted with a consultant so we had materials translated in any number of languages, including so many specific Asian languages, are first and critical to winning elections. Whereas Jamie Harrison understands the racism and anti-Asian hate that AAPIs have faced throughout the country after Donald Trump, which Republicans were not apologetic, has patronized our community and continually made racist comments against us, resulting in hundreds of physical assaults and many deaths of AAPIs. Thus, Jamie has been supportive of AAPI community's efforts to end AAPI hate. And whereas Jamie Harrison was also known for his warm personality, commitment to public service, accessibility, and accountability, passion for his work, with unparalleled integrity and modesty, and a tireless fighter for the most vulnerable and represents everyone in our community. And more importantly, whereas Jamie Harrison loves Asian food and clearly enjoyed the Chinese dumplings at our AAPI caucus reception, and whereas this fall 23 being maybe the last DNC meeting as our party chair, now therefore be it resolved that the DNC AAPI caucus honors Jamie Harrison for its contributions for our country and the Democratic Party, and be proclaimed the bestest DNC chair.
Thank you, my friends. Thank you. Thank you, my friends. So much love. So much love. I keep... I keep telling you guys, if a black man could blush, from the bottom of my heart, thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for all you do. That really means a lot. Well, it's important for me, as we conclude this meeting, for me to give some flowers to a whole lot of folks too. First, I want to thank all of the members who contributed to our Dems Care event the other day. As you know, Dems Care is a passion of mine. We started Dems Care because we know how important it is to put our values into action. And we've gotten hundreds of Democrats in a room. You know we can't when we get them all together, we can't help but to mobilize and to help folks. And this week, DNC members donated household wares and money, that many things that we take for granted, to the Veterans Community Project here in St. Louis. This project is for formerly unhoused veterans who are transitioning into new homes. And I want to thank all of you who came out yesterday and really helped to fill the baskets and the cans full of supplies. It really means a lot to me, so thank you all for being a part of that. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge our caucus and council chairs who work so hard to engage our constituencies and to organize informative meetings for you all. And let's just, again, give them a round of applause. All of our caucus and council chairs. I also like to celebrate our new members, and again, and thank our experienced members. We wrapped up an amazing year, and now we're going to work together for an even stronger 2024. Of course, we can't forget the races that we have in 2023, because there's still work that we have to get done. I also like to thank the many DNC staff who've helped to make this week a success. Everyone has been working around the clock, and we couldn't do this without them. So thank you, staff. Led by Sam Cornell, and Roger, and Monica. But please don't think the appreciation is going to stop today either. I'm proud to announce the formation of a committee. You all know back in Philly, I announced that I was starting a Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi DNC Chairs Award. And this award will be presented to an individual who embodies the values of the Democratic Party and has dedicated their work to fighting for a more perfect union, equality for all, and the rights and protections and opportunities for everyone to achieve their potential. The Advisory Award Committee will be co-chaired by, of course, Christine Pelosi, and my good friend Clay Middleton. Don't forget to support Clay. He's running for Mayor of Charleston. We want to make some history there. And they will be joined by Secretary Jason Ray, Otto Lee, Earl Folks, Raymond Buckley, Ashley Lancaster, Minnesota Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, Selena Vasquez, and Coleman Eldridge. And we're looking forward to sharing information about the application process with each and every one of you. It'll be open to all of you to nominate someone for this award. And my goal is to present this award at the welcome reception at the DNC convention in Chicago. Oh, and Yvette Lewis and Antonio Burgess as well will also be on the committee. Finally, I want to thank our parliamentarian and my right hand, the amazing Helen McFadden. So, folks, I can't let the meeting end without sharing the biggest announcement. Today is Helen's birthday. She didn't want me to tell you all that. Or tell C-SPAN either. But C-SPAN, I have the best parliamentarian in the world, and today is her birthday. And she knows where to get the best barbecue in the world as well. I'm on good behavior right now, so we can have that argument in Chicago. We can have a fight of the barbecues. Maybe that's one reception that we'll have. The battle of the best barbecue. Who can bring the best barbecue? Helen, I think we got it. We got it. And also, Veronica Martinez's birthday this week as well. But please join me. Let's just a quick verse. Let's sing happy birthday to Helen and Veronica. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Helen and Veronica. Happy birthday to you. With that, my friends, we have completed our business today. As such, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second? All opposed? I'll see you in Chicago.